Okay, this next video is going to be showing, not telling, and lesson number 6. Showing, not telling is a strategy, more of a skill that you want to implement so that it's not so obvious and boring. The downfall is if you use it too much, it can really muck up your essay and it's going to turn very flowery and use an excessive amount of words. So let's take a look at some examples. Okay, one is the pizza was delicious. That's really straightforward. That's just straight telling. That's easy to do. That's what a lot of people just do. But instead, you can give it a little bit of flavor by adding some cheese and eggs and tomatoes. You probably don't want to add eggs. So let's check it out. Steam rising up off the melted cheese made my mouth water. The first bite, my teeth sinking into the cheese through the tomato sauce and into the moist crust, made me chew and swallow rapidly. Even the cheese and tomato sauce, sticking to my fingertips, begged to be licked. So there are several rhetorical devices going on here. One is description, melted cheese, mouth water, teeth sinking. It's very, very descriptive. You can see it. It's the imagery. Basically, you can see what's happening. The other is feeling, sort of. So teeth sinking, you can kind of sense that, and the moist crust. It brings up the senses a lot. The texture and the feeling of it. And chew and swallow rapidly. So very descriptive again. And finally, the cheese begged to be licked. So that gives it personification. That gives cheese can't literally beg, but figuratively speaking, it was so good that it was begging to be licked. So I don't know how often you're going to talk about pizza in your personal statement, but if you do, then this could describe some delicious pizza. Okay, he is angry. 3 words. Sitting at his desk, his jaw tightened. His eyes flashed heat waves at me. The words erupted from his mouth. I want to talk to you after class. The final hiss in his voice warned me about his feelings. So let's move backwards. Final hiss in his voice. I forgot the rhetorical term for this, but it's not alliteration, but it's a consistency of sound. I think it's called consonants. These final hiss in his voice. So a lot of S sounds. That gives it a nice feel, a nice flow to it. So he was sitting, his jaw tightened. And again, you get the sensations of tightening. You get the feeling. It resonates. Eyes, jaw, mouth, all his body parts are engaged and involved. Heat waves, temperature, another tactile sense, and the words erupted. They didn't just come out. They didn't just come out of his mouth. They erupted like a volcano, something dangerous. Okay, hiss like a snake. So all these things have connotation. Every single word has a specific connotation, and all these words, when put together appropriately, gives you more depth and more depth and feeling to your essay. And example 3, the morning was beautiful. Behind the mountains, the sun peaked brightly, ready to start a new day. The blue sky remained silent, yet showed signs of sadness. The wind whispered through the trees as the cheerful sun rose. The birds sang gently by my window as if they wanted to wake me up. Again, personification, clearly blue skies, winds, sun, they all can't, show signs of sadness, and the sun can't be cheerful. But if you personify them, yeah, it gives them a animalistic or humanistic feel to them. The other one is that it's very natural in the words that were chosen. Sun, mountains, wind, trees, birds. All of that has to do with, has a theme to it. It's very thematic. And yeah, the environment, what happens in nature. And what else is going on here? The wind whispered, another piece of alliteration. Silent signs sadness, 3 S's. And yeah, there's a connection, there's a feel. The birds sang gently by my window as if they wanted to wake me up. Okay, it's a nice setup for what's about to happen. I wouldn't say foreshadowing because it doesn't tell you what's going to happen, but it's a good setup. You could take it, you could twist it, and then have some kind of terrible thing happen, or you could continue this and create a kind of emotive feel that transpires throughout the essay. Okay, so those are 3 examples. Yeah, I think 3 examples is enough. Okay, let's just go with number 4. The coffee was enjoyable. She cradled the mug in both hands and leaned her head over it in the rising steam. So you can visualize this imagery. Pursing her lips, she blew softly over the clouded surface and let her eyelids drop. Lots of body parts again. Her shoulders rose slightly as she breathed in, and she hummed with her head low. I lifted the tiny porcelain pitcher and poured a brief rotating PPP, a brief rotating arch of white into the black depths of my own cup. White contrasting with black, a little bit of contrast basically. She opened her eyes and we looked at each other across the table without speaking. So the coffee was enjoyable. That's pretty straightforward. But she opened her eyes and we looked at each other at the table without speaking. Silence speaks volumes in that sense. Like, why weren't you speaking to each other? It arouses a lot of curiosity. So a lot more can happen with description and showing instead of just straight telling. The coffee was enjoyable. What you were doing. Don't just say what's going on. Describe it. The goal is to keep it all connected. I feel like things fall apart sometimes, which is an allusion to a great book. But it's hard to, when you show, make sure you're showing something that makes sense. Okay, that's a challenge that you'll run up against. So, I'm going to give you some examples where I'm basically telling you something and show me how you would do that. So I am excited, very obvious. Feelings are very, 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 you can describe them very well. I was excited, I was sad, I was angry, I was bitter, I was ecstatic. So, you can vary the degree in one word, but you want to show that. And also scenes, what's going on. So they got into a fight. You can describe that very clearly. Food, taste, anything that has any kind of feeling or connotation, consider showing instead of telling. Okay?